Well, welcome back, everybody, to the Slim Flippers podcast. And today I am joined by Doug from Picking and Jeeping. Doug, how are you doing this evening?
Hey, I'm doing great, Wes. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. First thing I want to talk to you about is, are you okay down there in Florida?
Yeah, it's funny. All my family, half my family's in New Hampshire. That's where I originate from. And, so they're all, texting me, how's it going? How's it going? It's like, I'm a storm guy. I love that kind of stuff. So if it's not a direct hit, I'm fine. We had some rain and some wind. We get the wind bands coming through every now and then, but made it off a lot better than the people up in the Big Bend in Florida. There, I know Valdosta, Georgia, and all that stuff. They get hit pretty hard. So, thoughts out to them because we had Fort Myers last year. They got decimated by Ian, and they're still cleaning up. So it's nothing to joke about, but I enjoy storms, so what can I say? If I don't get clobbered and wiped out, it's a good day.
Well, it's one of those things like the storm surge they were talking about. If that rises along with the high tide, then you've got a perfect mix for a major problem.
Yeah, exactly. They say run from the flood, hide from the wind. I think that's the saying goes.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you are in Sarasota. Is that?
Sarasota, south of Tampa. So
okay.
It's about 45 minutes south.
And that's where you're located at.
Yeah, been here since moved down in 2011.
Okay. Well, a little bit of history with you. You had reached out to me. You had seen me on the Nashville Flippers show and said you would join me here on the Slim Flippers podcast, and we really do appreciate you doing that and stepping in with us. And let's kind of dive into your journey as a reseller. How long have you been at it, and we'll just go from there.
Sure. So basically, I started in New Hampshire back in 1998. That's when I signed my eBay account up, and my mom had an aunt lived in Florida here prior, for a long time, and then they started telling me about they were picking stuff at yard sales and making some money. So I'm like started to dabble in it a bit, and this is before we have iPhones and do comps and stuff like that. So basically, you're going to your yard sale kind of on a wing and a prayer, hoping something that can sell. So where there was nothing to do comps on. So I started doing it part time, basically to kind of support my family. I was a single dad at the time, and it started to get a good feel for it. And once I moved to Florida, that was in 2011. I think that's when I had my first smartphone, was 2011. And I knew they existed before then, but I never had one. It was just basically a flip phone. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, all right, now I've got it. I've got the tool to really make it work. So in 2011, I really started going gangbusters here in Florida because it's yard sales year round down here.
Right.
And so with the iPhone and doing the comps and just plenty of yard sales to go to, it was easy for me then to just make 20 grand a part-time, just go out on a weekend, pick stuff here and there. And then I slowed down a little bit just because, it's a hobby. Sometimes you just you shelve a hobby and then it's like, I kind of missed that part. And then you pick it up again. And then I'm going to say about, a year and a half ago, I'm always trying to learn more what to sell and whatnot. And it's like, well, I've been listening to podcasts, and so I wonder if there's any podcasts on reselling. And of course, I Googled it, and there's tons. I'm like, I missed the boat. I completely missed the boat. And so I started listening to Pure Hustle podcasts, listening to Baldy Pal. I think he just does YouTube now. He doesn't do much of a podcast. And then, Nashville Flippers and the Trash to Cash podcast, just the big names that I started listening to. I was like, wow, now I'm learning some more stuff to pick instead of just Tupperware and that stuff was good mainstay back in the day.
You got to watch it because your coffers will fill up really quickly.
Yeah, that's exactly
another problem then if you don't really.
Right.
That's something for me too, Doug. That I'm I've been at it a little over a year. And I'm really starting to streamline my picking now. Because I used to go in there, there's Tupperware, grab that,
right.
Grab the Beanie Babies, which, I've talked about that.
I heard that story.
But you really got to be picky. I mean, you've got to really know what you're going to source. And I've heard these on several podcasts, especially Johnny from Frizzy's Finds. Your bread and butters, what really sells for you, what you know you can move pretty quickly.
Exactly.
And sitting on a product is not something that I want to be doing for sure. You know, you want to move product as best you can. So what are some of the products that are really good sellers for you that you move pretty well?
You know, it's, and you'll know when I say it, it's hard to say. Like I was watching the one video and you held up that, I think it was a Mario World, boxed figure. I don't know exactly what it was. I think you were talking to, Flip the World, and it was like one of the Mario things you picked up. So you probably didn't know it at the time when you bought it that it was worth something. And so then you start investigating, you do your comps. I mean, you know, for instance, like in my book, I wrote, you know, you got to have the mentality of dealing with the masses, you know, kind of think past what you want or need and what other people want or need. For instance, I was at, you know, Lakewood Ranch is where I live, which is, I have Phil, the Philly flipper, just south of me. He moved down to Northport a few months ago. So I've never seen him at yard sales or whatever, but you know, he's a good guy and he knows his stuff.
Right. He does.
Lakewood Ranch has community sales every 6 months. And so I was at one sale and this guy had these Microsoft ergonomic wired keyboards. I mean, today's the rave is Bluetooth now. And I'm like, who's going to want a wired keyboard these days? And I said, how much you want for me? He goes, oh, give me 10 each. I said, I'll give you 10 for the pair. He's like, get him out of here. Well, I get him home and like, I didn't even comp him. Like, okay, for 10. So I had the two parts of the story. I had the mentality now just, I'm going to smoke a cigar over the weekend. It's going to cost $8. Okay. I can spend $10 on something I might make some money on, but you know, I'm not going to get any return on a cigar at all. But on the keyboards, maybe. So I brought them home and I ended up selling them both for $230 each because they were like an ergonomic type of, you know, keyboard, but they were wired and not everybody has a Bluetooth compatible computer. So that's my only mentality is thinking is like, okay, why did they sell for so much? And it could be that people just like the ergonomics or whatever. So it's just stuff you can stumble across. I don't know. And here's the funny part. So I work for Certified Collectibles Group. I don't know if you know who that is or not. Mm-hmm. NGC, we grade comics, we grade coins. You know, it's the big company. We're number one in the world. I don't have a collector's bug. I don't know. I worked, you know, I'm a coin photographer. I've done it for 28 years. I have no interest in coins. I know coins somewhat, but I couldn't, if you held up a certain date dime right now in front of my face, I couldn't tell you how much it's worth. It's just not my thing. Right. So I've worked in the collectible. I still work in the collectibles market all the time. But collectibles aren't my thing, so I don't know them. But I do learn by, you know, my mom. She's a big mid-century expert. She loves this stuff. She'll send me photos on something that's on Facebook. Hey, you need to go grab this stuff. I'm like, okay, I'll go grab it. I don't know what it is, but I'll go get it. So it's hard to put your finger on exactly what you go out and look for. And I don't know if you're the same way or not. You kind of go out with a general knowledge of things, but kind of, you know, I mean, I've been to sales and I'm sure you've seen it where people they'll go right to the t-shirt rack, or they'll go over and there's a pile of hats over here, or there's records. So I guess it's easier to say I don't have a beeline. I'm just a busy bee, just buzzing all over the place on, you know, just, you know, it's kind of to cite out what I know. It's like, yeah, I've seen that before. I can grab that. And then stuff is like, you know, I still look up a lot of things, and going back to spending the $10 I've learned not to be cheap too. And you get in this groove about wanting to comp everything out. And I was at this sale one day. There was two things. There was a Coleman stove and there was a bottle of perfume. They wanted $0.25 for the bottle of perfume and they wanted $10 for the stove. I was going to comp the perfume, stupid me, thinking I should have just spent $0.25 on a thing. I comped the stove, I bought the stove, I left it. Oh crap, I forgot to check the perfume. And I was like 4 miles away and it was $100 bottle of perfume. It was brand new, never opened. It was $100. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Oh, wow.
I drove back, it was gone. And it's like,
Of course it was.
I'm not cheap anymore. It's like, if it's $5, I'm buying it. I don't care if it'll go in the trash. If not, I'll send it to Goodwill for some unknowing picker to pick.
Right. Well, I starting off, I was kind of just like you said, all over the place, and that's basically, I'm still there, but I've learned to get, like when I go to a Goodwill, I get more into a pattern of the things that I know are selling really good for me now. I'll go and try to source those first. Like hats do for some reason really, really well for me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why. It's just something that happens. I'm not real good at the clothing game or the shoe game.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I don't know why. Toys do good for me. So I'm just going, I will pick up anything and everything, but I'm trying my best not to pick up these lower priced items now.
Right.
Because and I was joking about it earlier, but not, my bins and everything that I have here at the house are filling up.
Sure.
And that can be problematic for you.
Right.
If you don't watch what you're doing, you've got a whole house full of stuff.
That's right.
And that's tough. So let me flip you into this. If you were not a reseller, and you talked about the job that you work, would you be doing any other different job in your professional life, or would that just be the one thing you'd be doing?
If I was going to do something different, if I could make a living at cooking, I would do that. That's probably my passion. Yeah, I don't pick up a camera outside of work. That's not my thing either. It's just, I work for the most world-renowned coin collector in New Hampshire. We had a big auction company, and I just kind of fell into the coin photography part of it, and I'm great at it. But it's not my passion. I think that's probably why I'm great at it, because I'm not a collector of coins. I've got people on my team that are collectors, and they love this stuff. And it's like, oh, look at this one. And so it's like, I don't spend any time looking at the coin. I just spend time taking pictures of it.
You're like, I'm your picture guy. I'm your camera guy. I can do this. Yeah, make it look really pretty.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so are you completely passionate about reselling?
I am. I love the hunt. I love going out on a Saturday morning, and you just don't know. I just moved a bunch of hurricane panels just because I bought them in May. I know they sell. They were like these fabrics hurricane panels. I just sold half of them on Facebook, another one on eBay. I got $800 for these things, and I paid $5 for them just because the guy got a hurricane garage door, so he's just getting rid of them. Like, okay, I'll just stick them in the garage. So I know they'll sell. So I love to hunt like that. But when you talk about, to your point about, kind of policing what you buy, I think death piles are stuff that you really don't want to sell. And I know I feel that way. It's like, I'll go yard selling and I'll buy some stuff and I'm excited to sell this thing, and I'll sell it. It'll be listed that day because I know it's going to be good money. But, I've got a list of 400 photos on my computer of stuff that I was like, I got a list. It's like, yeah, I really don't want to. I don't feel like it. I guarantee you felt the same way. It's like, yeah, I'm not excited about this. Yeah, but it's like,
I don't know about all the stuff. I mean, I've got, of course, my Beanie Baby, that is a healthy reminder every day when I get home and I look at my
yeah. You just need more grandkids.
Yeah. I thought about, as a lark, just sticking them on there at some exorbitant price.
Yeah, something like that would be good, just to put a big pile of them, and it's like, hey, $20 or whatever. I don't know. I forget what you said you paid for them, but
I paid 50 cents a piece.
And you bought 110 or something like that?
I got 110, and Johnny from Frizzy's Finds, he was joking with me the other night because we were talking, and he said, man, I guarantee you were in there going, oh, yeah, why is nobody in here getting these? I'm getting all these great products, And when I got out to the car and I opened my trunk up, I looked at the trunk and I was like, no, wait a minute. Why was nobody buying these?
Right. Yeah. End of the day, they're still here. Wow, I'd love to to this.
Over a year later, here they are.
So, right. Yep.
But I'm going to make some Instagram videos, I think, out of them and make them popular again.
Sure.
I've got some ideas, so
Yeah.
I'm gonna have some fun with it.
That's what it's about, the marketing.
It is, and that's something else that I've ventured into over the year. I've done pretty good with my Instagram. I've increased it pretty well.
Really?
And I'm quite proud of that. Yeah, in the last 3 months, I've picked up probably 300-400 people on it.
Really? Mm-hmm. See, I haven't ventured into Instagram yet. I think maybe I don't know what my direction is for this. So in creating your Instagram, what is your direction in wanting to do that? Just to pump up your YouTube channel more?
I don't know if to pump it up, to assist it a little bit. I mean, because I don't really talk about my YouTube channel on there much. I mean, I will here and there, but things that make me smile, I think may make somebody else smile. Like, for example, the other night I was in Goodwill, my latest video that I put up, and I went over to the vinyl, and I started flipping through there, and there was a Billy Joel album in there, and it was in great condition. I mean, I was like, oh wow, I'm grabbing this. And Hall & Oates, it was in there as well. So you don't really find those. You find more of the orchestral
right, exactly
concertos in there and all that stuff. These were just tucked, right in the middle of the stack.
Yeah.
And I'll pick those things up because they can sell pretty decent. And if they don't, I have my own record player.
Oh, okay.
And I'll play them. But
nothing like a Billy Joel on an old record player.
Do what?
Nothing like an old Billy Joel record on a record player.
Yeah, there's nothing like it. It's great. I've also sourced. I picked up from an estate sale. This lady had the Beatles' White album. And I talked about that, and then I got Abbey. I've got 2 copies of Abbey Road.
Yeah, that's cool.
So I mean the little gems that you find out. But going back to your question about Instagram, it's more of a time capsule for me. That's basically my why. I want to be able to go back and look at things that I've found that I've been able to sell.
Sure.
And just kind of go, man, I picked that up. Oh, that's neat. Because it's fun to go back and look at your account now and say, oh, man, I remember that. I remember, what did I get for that? Because it's just like a yearbook. It's memories from my reselling.
Yeah, I like that idea because I do that too. Like, I have a done folder on my computer. Once I list something, I'll move it into the done folder. And, to scroll through the done folder, I was like, wow, I did that. I sold that. And then you see, oh, I sold that. It's like, you see all the neat, cool stuff you had. It's like, man, I wish I hadn't sold that.
Well, see, what you could do, Doug, is make you a Pickin' and Jeepin', get you an Instagram started, okay, and then make that folder your Instagram. And if it makes you happy, it may make somebody else happy. Somebody else may see it and go, oh, wow, that's great. Look at that Billy Joel album. Oh, that's great,
Yeah, I like that. That's cool. It's a good idea.
That's why I really started my Instagram, just more for me trying to remember things,
Sure. Yeah, I like that. That's very neat. Very neat.
But as far as YouTube, this is kind of born out because I'm a school teacher. So what happened during the pandemic, they had us trying to figure out ways to connect with the students, and I did it through Zoom, and I started interviewing people. And I don't know if you've seen all my videos on my YouTube, but there's a couple though that are really neat. One of them, the guy, he imitates Barney Fife.
I started watching that one while I was waiting.
He's really, really good. I've known that guy for a long time, and he does a real good. He's super knowledgeable. And when we were sitting there, he just said, "You throw up any episode scenario that you want." He goes, "I'll answer it." He goes, "I'll answer it like Barney would." And I did. I just started throwing out things, going, "All right, tell us about when you bought that old car from that lady." He knew it. He goes, "Mrs. Les, she was a criminal." He's like a thesaurus of the Andy Griffith Show.
Right.
And so that was fun. I interviewed Kane from WWE. He's the mayor of Knoxville, Tennessee, which is where I live near. So that's where my interviewing thing kind of come out of. And then when I found the resale game, I've kind of pulled both of them together, and
Sure.
here we are on the Slim Flippers.
Right. That's cool. Yeah, it's a neat name. I like it.
Well, the Slim Flippers is me and my wife. Well, I'm 6'6". I'm tall, and so is she. She's kind of tall too. So we're slim.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you hear people say this all the time. Find your joy.
Right.
You know, you have things, Doug, that finds you joy. For an example, your Jeeps. Okay, tell us a little bit about your Jeep story. I've been interested and been wanting to ask you about that.
Yeah,
it's in the name, so let's hear
it. When I moved to Florida from New Hampshire back in 2011, it just seemed like the right vehicle to have for Florida. It's just a fun rig. It gets in and out. It's small. You know, my wife, I have a 2-door. My wife has a 4-door. You know, we call them fun size and sharing size. Hers is a sharing size, and you know, so I bought one when I first moved down here. Had it for a few years, and then sold it. Got a truck, and then I was just recently this past February. It's like I really miss having a Jeep, and so I sold the truck and got the Jeep again. And I don't know. It's just I think it's Jeeps are a mentality type of thing. It's funny about a Jeep. I mean, if you see someone driving a Porsche or something, you assume they have money because they're driving a Porsche or whatever or whatnot. It's just Jeep. You just don't know. You could be the brokest person on the earth driving a Jeep, or you could be the richest person on earth driving a Jeep. It doesn't make a difference. But it's just kind of an easygoing attitude that you have with a Jeep. You know, all Jeepers wave at each other when you go by. You know, something you have to get used to. But that's fun because you know they've got your back. Probably if somebody's broken down the side of the road, you'll have a Jeep behind you helping you out without a doubt if something happens. So it's just the lifestyle. You know, like when I go, especially if fall's coming, is the best time. Right now, it's well, you've been cooking in Knoxville too this year. Just the heat's been crazy, and I usually flip the roof back in the mornings. I'm going yard sailing, and I haven't done that much this past August, only for the fact it's just so darn hot. So fall will be great. I'll have the roof down. I'll flop it down, put the bimini on, just to zip around. And my goal this year is to take the doors off the Jeep. So when I come up to a yard sale, I can just hop out without opening a door. Hop out, grab stuff, throw in the back of the Jeep, and hop back in without doing worrying about closing or opening a door. So, but that's my Jeep story. I'm not a big off-roader. I know Baldy Powell's friend there. I think his name Mike. I think he has a web YouTube channel called Overland Express or something like that. He does Jeep stories, back trails, and all this stuff. I'm not a big back trail. I know I'm different than the average Joe. It's like if you're driving a car, you're not looking off to the side of the road thinking, man, I can get my car over that hump and that hill or something. And a Jeep, you're always looking for somewhere. It's like, yeah, I know I can go there, or I know I can go there. But if you're in a car, you're not doing that.
Right. Well, I was wondering. I was like, well, I wonder if he does go off-roading and stuff. So, I guess you could if you needed to. For example, like, we're talking about the hurricane that you've been dealing with today. You get a little storm surge. How high off the ground is your Jeep?
Yeah, it's just standard. I don't have a lift kit on or anything. So, I could probably go through 2 feet of water easy enough, as long as they don't flood the engine out. But that's in my mind too, as far as having I've always been a 4-wheel drive fan. I had 4-wheel drives in New Hampshire because up there you had snow, you got to drive around in. But that's always been my mentality down here too, is having a 4-wheel drive. It's just in case you need it to get out in the storm, because of storm surge or something like that. I'm far enough in from the shore, I don't have to worry about that. But if someone needed help or whatever, I could help out. That wouldn't be a problem at all.
Right. So in thinking about New Hampshire and then thinking about Florida, let's do it a little. I'm gonna give you a little lesson here.
Sure.
As far as a teacher's side, let's compare and contrast the two if we can.
Okay.
If you'll indulge me for a minute. So let's look at yard sales, New Hampshire, yard sales, Florida. How are they, if we compare them, how are they the same that you would think?
How are they the same? There's always the same amount of junk in New Hampshire yard sales compared to Florida yard sales. I mean, there's always glassware. I don't, obviously in New Hampshire you find more, seasonal clothing. You're going to find boots, gloves, jackets, snowshoes, ice cleats. So you don't find any of that in Florida. Florida, you will find people selling skis or a snowboard because they went to Colorado for a holiday, and they're stuck with a pair of skis. So I will get that down here. So you'll find there's no seasonal stuff in Florida because it's the same season year round. It's either hot or not as hot. So it's the same stuff. So that's the biggest difference between New Hampshire and Florida is more seasonal types of things in Florida or in New Hampshire, whether it's snow shovels, change for your car. It's just stuff you don't see down here. So you may get into some of that in Knoxville. You might get some winter clothing stuff in Knoxville at your sales, I would imagine.
Yeah, we're right at the midline. We will see some snow. Some years we, like last year, I think we saw it once.
Sure.
It just depends. But like I'm sure like in Florida, you get a lot of retirees. Do they sell it off in New Hampshire before they get down there, or they just give it away up there and it ends up in a Goodwill? But they don't want to truck it all the way down there and try to sell it, do they?
Right. To be honest with you, because yard sales in New Hampshire are only June through October. I mean, it starts getting too cold for people. In May, there's still snow on the ground in some places. So yard sale season really doesn't start till late May, early June in New Hampshire. And then it's so, like I lived in a place called Wolfboro, New Hampshire, which is the summer home of Mitt Romney. And, a lot of stars go up there and stuff. So that I was an hour away from a Walmart and living in that town. And so to go yard selling, you might have to drive 20 miles to hit one. I mean, it wasn't a lucrative business up there as much as it is here, because here I can hit 20 yard sales in an hour because they're just so close. So that made it tough up there. It's just the distance between yard sales. So I had a big Dodge truck. So 12 miles to the gallon. It really didn't make sense to drive 60 miles to hit 8 yard sales. So
that's going to get real expensive. Now, in New Hampshire, did you find that, like when you go to these yard sales, was there a lot of people at?
No.
You're fighting for the same products, or was there not?
No, it wasn't. You got to remember, this was 11 years ago. So I moved here in 2011, so I've been here 12 years. So reselling really wasn't a big word back then. When I was doing it, I mean, I had vanity plates on my car. I had eBay for my vanity plate. And even then people really didn't know what is eBay. So I had that question at yard sales. Here, if I had that plate on my car, I wouldn't get it. I wouldn't get one deal. Everything would be twice as much.
Charge him.
Yeah, exactly. So it wasn't such a buzzword back then. Again, this is before Gary V even did his video for, doing yard sales and stuff like that. So it was, I wasn't fighting people left and right. Florida's a different story. If you go to like community sales they have here, it's like, certain communities will set up, okay, we're going to have a yard sale this week and everybody can join in. And then a lot of times they're gated communities, and these places are packed. And, I mentioned on one of my videos there about, early birds are overrated. And it's true, because if you you can't get into these places early because the gates are closed. They don't open the gates till the thing starts at 8. You're in at 8, unless you know the code to get in. But they do get busy. But like I said, you can pick stuff up all day long at these places because different people have different niches, and what the other guy doesn't want, you want.
Well, I mean, I've seen I'll use Kevin Commonwealth Picker for example. He seemingly is there earlier than anybody.
Right.
Yeah. If you'll watch, it's pitch black and they're putting stuff out, and he's there picking.
Right. Exactly.
And I just think it's to each their own.
Sure.
Some people think, get out. other people like to ease into their morning like my wife does. She
Right.
don't even bother me to get up. And sometimes I'll use this tool. I'll go, well, that's fine. I may go hit a few while you're still asleep.
Right.
And guess who's standing at the door ready to go with me? When she goes, you're not going to get out and not take me. She goes, because you won't get back here.
Right. Well, don't get me wrong. I mean, I don't mind being the first one at a yard sale. You do find good stuff when you're there early. I'm just not the type of person that knocks on someone's door early. I mean, if someone's bringing stuff out of their garage, I'll say, hey, mind if I'll carry some boxes out for you if you don't mind. And I've moved tables at yard sale. Would say, hey, you need to move this table? Yeah, I want to put it over here. Like, fine. You mind if I look through some stuff too? I can do that. That's no problem. But I'm not the overbearing enough that the garage is packed full and they haven't started putting stuff out yet. I'm not in there rooting through the stuff. I just, nothing wrong with it. I'm just saying it's just not in my makeup to do that.
Do you think people that have got there early or seem, I guess, pushy, do you think they give resellers a bad name though?
I think so. I mean, the people that they're buying from have to know they're resellers to begin with. So they may not always know that unless you're showing up with a camera and recording this stuff. Then that's one dead giveaway of reseller.
Look at me.
Yeah, exactly. I haven't done a whole lot of videotaping at yard sales just because it's uncomfortable for me. I listen to podcasts and they say, no, go ahead and do it. People don't care. And again, that's just something that's a hurdle I have to get over. I mean, I'll take some pictures of stuff on a table. I was listening to one podcast and they were saying that someone only posts pictures of, and I've got 3 videos out, so I know he wasn't talking about me, but he's talking about some people post just photos of stuff that they're selling on eBay where they could have just got it out of their garage and said that's what they got at a yard sale. But it's like, well, at least I'm trying to take a picture of it sitting at a table at a yard sale. So I'm not making up a scene in my garage, setting something on a table to look like it's for sale. So I'm starting getting, taking more photos at yard sales. I'm trying to do a little more commentary, like the one I posted about driving, talking about the early birds, only because it was convenient. Set my camera on the dash and start talking that way. So that's kind of what I'm going to try to go towards just to kind of get more knowledge out.
Well, what's intriguing for me is, and I think your Jeep, if you're looking at it from a standpoint of trying to do more videos, is your Jeep. What a great way to kick your little YouTube channel off or whatever you want to do with it, and make it a good segue into when you're going to yard sales and stuff. Just do those quick videos, even those YouTube shorts. Mm-hmm. That's another thing that I'm going to start venturing into as well as the YouTube shorts. Those are fun.
Right.
And I actually have some TikTok videos too.
Oh, do you?
I'm starting. So, but yeah, you could really, I think, Doug, you could really mold this Jeep thing into this resale business.
Yeah.
You may get really popular out there in your town. I know that guy. That's the
right.
Jeep picker,
Yeah. I'll just drive by and he'll just start throwing stuff in the back of the Jeep. Here you go.
This is your, hey, Doug, drive your Jeep by so we don't have to take it to Goodwill. We'll just load it up and you can go.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, I mean, you could get your own business going that way, kick it up. Well, let's talk about estate sales. Where are you as far as estate sales? Because I know where I am. I've actually enjoyed them a little better now.
Mm-hmm. I think so. One of the problems in Florida with the companies that run estate sales, not necessarily the private ones where the family members are selling the stuff, is a lot of these companies down here, if they run an estate sale and they have stuff left over, well, they part of their deal is they take all this inventory out of the house for the people. That's part of the deal of once you sell the stuff, you have to get rid of the rest of the stuff. Right. Well, when they do another community or another estate sale, they'll bring this crap with them and pack this house full, and you'll walk in and you're like, there is no way all this stuff fit in these people's cabinets, because they have tables open. They're just packed full of stuff from the previous sale that didn't sell. And this one, I went one just down the road here from my house, and I went, and the garage had 2 lawnmowers. It had double everything. I'm like, you guys bring stuff in here? Oh no, this is his stuff. I'm like, this stuff barely fits in this garage now with what's in here. There's no way you didn't pay. And I know for a fact, because I've seen stuff from one sale to another. So that's one thing you have to get through is, okay, there's there's stuff that hasn't sold that they're packing these houses with. Am I a go-getter for yard sales or for estate sales? I used to be, but it's just, it's full price first day. And so I'm not going to go looking for, paying full price for this stuff because it does seem expensive. I think I can get better deals at yard sales. The time spent at yard sales is much better than time spent at estate sales. If you can't get there on the next day where it's half price or whatever, you might pick up some things. I mean, you could take some notes or whatever and say, oh, okay, this was here, this was here, this was here. And hopefully if it wasn't too far away and you go back the next day and it's still there, you might be able to get a good deal on it. But it's not my mainstay. If I'm driving en route to a yard sale and I see an estate sale sign, I'll stop. But I'm not looking on Craigslist and stuff for estate sales. I'm looking for what I call the milk run, is the list of yard sales that I can build on and hit.
So let's think about the ones that we talked. Let's see, yard sales, estate sales, thrift stores, or the bin stores. If you could pick one of those 4 that you had to source and you couldn't go to the other ones, which one would you pick?
It'd be yard sales.
Yard sales.
Without a doubt, yeah.
Have you made runs to the bin store before?
I don't have a bins near. I think the nearest bins is Tampa. I do have a Goodwill that's just around the corner from me. And, it's funny, when they first opened, and I know it's a thing that Goodwill does, when they first open a location, they have this big announcement that someone found this $3,000 painting at Goodwill today. And it's just, it's publicity. And but now that Goodwill and you listen to everybody else, and I'm sure you've heard it, that Goodwill is selling the good stuff on their own site on the web now. It's tough to find something. I mean, you picked up those albums. I mean, I guess it depends on where your location is and how hard it's hit too. I don't know if Goodwill has a threshold of they're not going to mess with anything under $15. Maybe that's why you can find a few things here and there. But I think I've gone to Goodwill here probably once in the past 6 months, and I'm in a pretty higher end area of Florida called Lakewood Ranch. Technically in Lakewood Ranch, but it's part of Bradenton. But Sarasota is easier to say, and everybody knows more Sarasota than Bradenton. But I don't go in very often. I may go in sometimes just to do a walkthrough and, kind of stuff I know, cookware or, some golf stuff. I'm starting to learn golf clubs because I see them all the time. And, I've picked up some good ones at yard sales, but I know there's people that make a killing on golf clubs. I just haven't learned, what to look for on those yet. It's like golf. There's just so much to learn what to buy to sell on eBay.
Yeah, I just sold a Big Bertha driver. It stayed on my eBay store there for a while, but it finally sold. But those can be the long haul items,
Sure.
You have to hang on to them a little bit.
Yeah.
And again, I think it goes back to educating yourself in every product that we try to sell. Of course, we don't know what we're going to be selling from one day to the next because, I mean, the things you go and source, you pick them up and you're like, well, I think I can sell it. I can get $20 out of that. You pick up this and that. But the higher price items for me, I'm like you were talking about the golf clubs, you really got to educate yourself. For example, I picked up last summer Ping golf clubs. And I've talked about this on other podcasts, but the guy sold me the bag and his clubs for $20. And I said, "Are you sure?" I said, he goes, "I want rid of them. I want them out of here." He goes, "I'm never playing golf again." He goes, "I know." He goes, "I know what they are." He goes, "I know they're Ping. They're good clubs." He said, "Maybe somebody else get a better use out of them." So, I was very happy that he sold them to me in that way. And sometimes you'll run across those people that are selling like, I just want to get rid of it.
Right.
But you've got to be out there and about to be able to find those deals.
Right. Exactly.
So, Doug, in thinking a couple other things, and then I'll let you go because I know you probably got some other things going on this evening. But let's compare Doug. So you said you've been reselling since 1998. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so let's take Doug from 1998 to Doug 2023. If you could travel back to that Doug, what would be some things that you would tell him as a new reseller? And hopefully people that are watching this, they could listen to it and think, you know what? I need to know that. What would be something that we could educate some new resellers on?
Wow, that's a great question. Think back to when either you were younger or as a kid, just think back of what you had that you really treasured, either as a toy or, a memento or something like that. So going forward, you can kind of look for this kind of thing, because if it was the type of thing that you liked, chances are there's a lot of people that liked it too. And so that's kind of you can find a market for it there. I would say also, don't buy so many small things. I mean, when I started out, I was excited if I made $3 on something. And it's funny because in the book I wrote, whatever I spent my money on, I sold it. And in the book listed, I only made $2 on this, but this is the journey to $1,000. So it was all part of that. But I wouldn't sell anything now for $2 to make $2 profit. Mm-hmm. So I would say don't sweat the small stuff. Just spend more time, buying things that are worth a little bit more money to make more money. Because it's going to be less headaches. If you're looking at 20 things that's worth $2 each or whatever, you're not gonna make any money. You're going to be out of it because you're going to be bored, or you're just going to be sick of it. So buy things that excite you, that you like. And again, I didn't have the mentality back then, but again, have the masses mentality of just thinking, yeah, you could be a pocket knife expert, but that's not the masses. Just think of the masses of people and what people need in their life. Whether it's like I just listed a stupid thing for a KitchenAid blender. It's a replacement stub for the shredder attachment. It's like someone out there needs this. They need this little attachment, and they're going to spend $15 to get it because I have it. So kind of think that mentality, just having the masses mentality.
Well, I think you hit it right on the head. Be methodical in what you're picking up. Really think about it and think about how you're going to have to store this. Are you going to have to hold on to it for a while? Are you only going to make $2 or $3? Those are questions that I wished I'd have been, or not questions, but those are things I wished I'd have heard when I first started.
Right.
Because I would have listened wholeheartedly. But when you first start, like you said, you're excited. Oh, wow, piece of Tupperware. Yes. If I can find the lid that goes with that, I've got a $20 sale,
Exactly.
You may not find that lid. You're going to be sitting on that egg tray that doesn't have the egg holders in it, like I have too right now.
I know Commonwealth Picker, he likes Tupperware too, and I've ever heard him talk. I mean, there's money in it. I mean,
oh yeah,
there's money in it.
The funny part is, when I was growing up, my mom was a Tupperware. She sold Tupperware. That's what her job was.
Mm-hmm.
So what we would do, we would have to go downstairs because every Tuesday she'd get her order that she had to get out. And we would have to pack all of her orders, and then she would go deliver them.
Sure.
And I got pretty knowledgeable as far as what was what. And my wife's amazed because anytime we go to a yard sale, I'll say, that's so-and-so, that's so-and-so. How do you know what that does? And I say, I know the celery crisper. I mean, I know. Right. I've known ever since I was 5 years old what those things are.
Yeah, that's funny. I think one last thing I probably do is say, if you don't want to ship it, don't buy it.
Very true, because you're going to have to build a box for it. You're going to have to create stuff.
Exactly.
If you don't have a box, and that's been me. If I don't have a box for it, I'm not getting it.
Yeah, I've done some monster boxes.
And when I say that, I'm talking a standard box.
Right.
It's gotta be, if it's got this weird shape to it. I don't
Right.
need to be buying it.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
But I'm thinking of over your whole resale career, because that's 25, 26 years. That's a long time that you've seen a lot of trends and a lot of changes in reselling. And I think now that you're on the cusp of probably something pretty neat, if we can see you start putting some more videos out, get away from your three videos. But
yeah, I know. It's embarrassing.
I encourage you to hop a little bit further in and start creating those videos and get them out there, because if it makes you happy and it makes you excited about it, and then like I said earlier, it may get somebody else going.
Sure. Yeah.
And like your Instagram, get those up, get you a picking and jeeping with Doug.
Sure.
Find those little things at the yard sales, and like my records, it was literally like a 20-second video.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But it brings me joy. So
sure. Yeah.
Bring yourself joy.
you get that coach coming through. I can feel it.
Oh yeah. Well, see, I'm trying to coach you up. But that's what it's all about. Teacher, coach,
Yeah.
Here's the way I see it. I like to lift people up, and I like to be lifted up,
Sure.
and I'll try to do that every day. I don't want to tear anybody down. I just like to pick people up and try to help as many people as I can. If I can help one person a day, that's great.
Right. Yeah, that's a great attitude to have.
But I'm looking forward to seeing your Instagram. I want to see that happen.
I'll start working on that one.
Well, that is all the time we have this evening with Doug from Picking and Jeeping. Doug, we really appreciate your time, and thank you for coming into the Slim Flippers podcast.
I really appreciate you having me on here. It's an honor.
All right. You take care and stay safe out there, okay?
Thanks, Wes. You too.